There is a painting in the National Gallery in London of which I am particularly fond. It shows St. Anthony at the entrance of a church distributing loaves of bread to the poor with his fellow friars. It was painted in 1662 by the Flemish painter Wilhelm van Herp. In St. Anthony's times, cities were becoming more and more important, especially with the emergence of the bourgeois, which was thriving in the field of commerce. However, if wealth was increasing on one hand, on the other hand, the number of poor people and the insensitivity towards them was increasing too. A number of times, St. Anthony, a friend of the poor, urged people to turn their minds towards real wealth, that of the heart, which promotes goodness and mercy, the two treasures which we can store in heaven. In one of his sermons, the saint exhorts people in this way: "You rich people, make yourself poor friends. Welcome them into your homes, so that in their turn they will welcome you into the eternal dwellings, where there is the beauty of peace, confidence, security, and the wealthy rest of eternal satisfaction." Immediately after the saint's death, numerous charities sustained by the friars arose around the basilica. During the centuries, they have taken care of many poor people. In this way, numerous little miracles occurred, which, even if they did not make the headlines, changed the lives of so many people. In fact, Anthony has never left his friars without the donation for the poor made by many generous people. Pope St. John Paul II recalled this fact in 1998. He said, "This is how that precious initiative called Bread for the Poor began. This initiative has always been active, even during the most difficult times affected by misery and poverty like the two world wars. In time," added the saintly Pope, "many of these initiatives merged into today's St. Anthony's Charities, which is operating effectively in all continents and makes the less fortunate feel the balm of brotherly love." I'm here in front of all these photos left by devotees of St. Anthony to thank him for graces received in difficult times. Among these images, there is one of a young woman from North Africa who came here a few days ago to thank her beloved St. Anthony. In the month of March, at the height of the pandemic, she was alone and moneyless, with her child suffering from a high fever. She was afraid, he may have contracted coronavirus, but at the same time she didn't want to take him to the hospital for fear the child could be taken away from her. Not knowing what to do, she had come here to the Basilica to seek the saint's help, and the saint did indeed help her. He did so through a friar, who, seeing her crying, accompanied her to the offices of the Bread of the Poor, St. Anthony's Charities, which immediately took her under their wing. Let us therefore turn to the saint so that he may teach us to love the poorest of the poor and the suffering. Dear St. Anthony, please teach us not to love only ourselves, our loved ones, and those who love us. Please help us to think about others as well, especially the unloved. Help us to practice solidarity with the poorest of the poor by helping us to be their brothers and sisters. Help us to recognize the Lord in the poor and the suffering, so that He may welcome us with love in the Father's house. We ask this through Christ our Lord.